I have spent years collecting houseplants. Some were absolutely worth every penny. Some were a pain in the A. Today we're going through houseplants I wouldn't buy again, along with some that I actually would. Hello everybody, glad you could make it. My name is Kaylee Ellen and let's get into the video. These are in no particular order, so the first plant or type of plant that I honestly would not buy again, it would take a lot to make me do it, that is anything that I like to call pink princess type. What do I mean? I mean obviously Philodendron pink princess. I mean things like Philodendron white wizard, even potentially white knight, anything kind of like that with that growth pattern. I don't really want in my house anymore. Listen, I know a lot of people have great luck with them. For me personally, they take ages to size up. They can get a bit wonky. If you've left them unattended, they don't grow very well. They need a lot of feed, a lot of light to look really nice. Generally speaking, when they're young, they look really cute as a nice little bush. But when they get older, if they're not taken care of absolutely unbelievably perfectly, they look crap. They look terrible, guys. They do. I'm sorry, but they do. And I don't really want another one again. I also don't want to have to use moss poles too much again because you guys know I'm a bit sick of moss poles. I don't really have that many moss poles behind me. I have a really wonky one right next to me that's really annoying. But generally, I've only got them for really big monstera to try and keep them straight. It's not something I really like to have in my collection. I do love Pink Princess, honestly, visually to look at. It's fantastic, but most of the time in reality, keeping it just doesn't look great. White Wizard is also a very nice one. I saw one in the garden store really recently. They've come down a lot in price, by the way, if you like the look of them. There is the White Wizard, by the way, and the White Knight. I may as well cover this while we're here because they look very similar and they are different. So the White Wizard is basically the stems of the plant are all green. The White Knight, you get a little bit of rosiness in there. Personally, I think the White Wizard looks a bit nicer, but it's neither here nor there. If you buy one, I don't personally think that you need to buy the other. I just think you can have one. But if you're interested, those are two different forms. There's probably loads more forms than obviously the Pink Princess and all the white stuff, but just to think of it now in the video, like off the top of my head, those are the main ones. It's mainly the growth pattern for me. I kind of can't be bothered with it. The next plant or type of plant that I probably would not ever buy again is basically anything mottled. Now I've chose Syngonium mottled types for this because I think you find them a lot more. There was a very popular prominent model Syngonium and I can't think of the name of it as filming this. Obviously I will have the name on the screen for you so I don't have to remember, but I just think I'm over it. Syngonium themselves, by the way, are absolutely amazing. Can't fault them. But I just think if you're going to choose from any Syngonium, it really doesn't have to be this type. I don't know. If you're curious, by the way, I know it's a bit old, but I do actually have a Syngonium Red Plant Index video whereby I basically take all of the Syngonium types and I categorize them. The categories might not mean so much now because obviously time has passed. But if you genuinely just want to see a big long list of Syngonium and all the different types you can get, then it's a really good video for that. I will link that down below if you're interested. Yeah, just kind of over it. Kind of over it. There are some Syngonium that I probably would have, but I think for me, it's more on the way that they grow and trying to manage that because they grow beautiful in a little bush, but as soon as they start to get taller, they want to climb. Again, poles, I don't really want to do it. I don't really want to do it. So if I can avoid it, I will. So my mottled Syngonium is another type of plant that I probably won't be buying again. Never say never, but it's highly likely that I'm not going to bother. The next type of plant I probably won't buy again. I've written like a flagship plant again to illustrate my point, but it does kind of account for all the different kinds of plants. So this is a shame because I love crawling Philodendron. I really do. I like them more than climbing Philodendron. However, that's posing another problem in my house with the way that they grow. So you can probably tell from this ridiculously overexposed video that I promise I am trying to manage. Let me see if I can. So the way that this room works that I'm in, it's my kitchen, it's where I grow most of my plants, and as you can probably see, all of the light comes from this side of the room. I have this big French doors here, and then I actually have skylights above me over here. That's why this side is so bright and blown out, and this side is so dark. The problem I have is when I put crawlers on this side of the wall, they just grow to the window, and it's actually a lot of work to keep them from just growing in the wrong direction because they can grow quite quickly. So the flagship example I've given of this is actually a plant that you will not see, but it is actually up here somewhere. And it is Philodendron, I think it's SP Colombia. It's kind of blue tinted. He's just a generic crawler. Take it to mean I probably won't be buying many more crawlers. I have, you probably can't tell, I don't know. I have a Plymani I here, and I have a Philodendron Dean McDowell that I actually cut. I cut all of it off. I left the stump in the pot and I've thrown it in the bin, guys. I know, I've thrown it in the bin. It was just too big and it was just creating chaos. And I actually think now, you probably can't tell, but it just looks a bit cleaner down here and I prefer it a little bit. So I've still got that in the pot, by the way, and it will grow back, but it's going to be a while, thank God. I'll deal with it later. In terms of the crawling philodendron that I have that I like, obviously I have my Plymani I, which I love, and I also have my Philodendron gloriosum variegated, which obviously incredible, amazing. I don't really feel the need to add more crawling types. If I moved to a different house and I had different conditions, you would probably see me have loads of crawlers. I'm probably not going to be leaving here for as long as I can help it. So I don't think I'm going to be owning any more crawlers. Don't take that to mean I don't like them, because I absolutely love them. I prefer them to climbing philodendron. So, welcome to my first anthurium on this list, and I don't think I will ever buy again, guys. Anthurium Regale. Listen, it's a nice enough plant, and on my first ever rare plant index, when I found it years and years ago, I fell in love with it. I thought it was beautiful, I thought it was veiny, I thought it was gorgeous. Fast forward to now though, and there are so many nicer anthurium than that, and so many easier anthurium than that. I just find that plant to be a world of hassle for no reason at all. Yeah, it's nice, it's not that nice, you can get other nice things. If you like Anthurium crystallinum, for example, so much easier, still good looking. I don't really see why you need to kill yourself having an Anthurium Regale. Now, if you've got one at home and you love it, that's great, I'm really happy for you. However, I can't be bothered. They ship terribly from what I remember from when I had my shop. They go very crispy and rusty very easily. It's just not something you ever want, guys. It's just leave it alone. Leave it alone. I know they're affordable now, so if you want to take the risk on one, if you really like them, then there's obviously a lot less risk now. I can honestly say that I can talk about them in a little bit more of a positive light than what I used to be able to, and it's genuinely because the prices come down. But you can get the most amazing anthurium ever, and it doesn't have to be that. If you don't believe me, I've got a very recent rare plant index on anthurium that I will link below. You will have the best time watching that video. There's about 70 to 80 anthurium in there. There are tons. It's like an hour and a bit long. You can see every single variety of anthurium and decide on some of the ones you like. So I'm probably never going to buy one again. You would be amazed to see one on this channel. I'm not going to bother. I've not even missed it. When I see them, I'm like, nah. So the next plant is a plant that I actually do love. I've got nothing really bad to say about it. It's just, again, it's another plant that's not worth the hassle. I don't know if you're getting the trend, the growing trend in this video is that I don't want the hassle anymore. I've done this for years, guys. I want an easy life. I want a pretty background. I don't want to have to try too hard, okay? So the next plant on my list is the Monstera Dubaia. Listen, Dubaia is beautiful. So if you didn't know, obviously most people when they buy Monstera Dubaia, they get it as a shingling plant, right? So it grows really, really tight and it's got this beautiful growth pattern, right? And it's gorgeous. And you can put it on a plank of wood or something like that and you can grow it very, very flat and the leaves and everything will stick to it and it will look stunning. And that's beautiful. And when they get mature, yes, I know a lot of people don't realize this, but Dubaia can get mature and they grow into actual big leafy plants like you would think of when you think of other monstera, right? And they look, mature Dubaia looks incredible. I think it's beautiful. They lose the nice silvery coloring and the veinage and everything. They just go quite green, so that's kind of cool. But the process, right? And if you've grown a mature Dubaia or you know an influencer, a plant person that's grown one, they may tell you, hey, this is a process, right? Because to go from that shingler to the big ass plant, you've got a really weird stage in between. And it's how do you get it off the wood and onto something else? Or if you started it on a pole, what have you done? It takes so much dedication to get it consistently looking really, really nice, not to lose little leaves at the bottom if you underwater it or something happens, and just have it looking nice. Similarly, and I've tried to do this, you can buy, sometimes if you know where to look, you can buy mature Dubaia cuttings for the big plants. But the problem is, as with a lot of monstera, even Monstera deliciosa, when you cut them, they go juvenile again. So you buy a really nice cutting that's mature and you're like, yay, start from here. They will go juvenile for a bit. So in Dubaia terms, you might have started with leaves big. You'll get ones coming out like this big with not a lot of fenestrations, and then you've sort of got to build it up again. It's a nightmare. It's very fanciful and they are stunning. Again, it's about the effort, it's about the process. I can't really be bothered. If you can and you've got a very pretty one that's just had a great time of things and you have it on Instagram, I would love it if you could tag me, because I'd actually like to see what people have done with their Dubai and how it's gone for them, because it's one of these plants where it tells a story when it's growing and you can really see like what's happened with it and how it's matured. So if you have a nice one and you believe it's nice, tag me on Instagram and I will honestly, I'll take a look and I will judge it for myself. Maybe I might change my mind. But for me personally, I can't be bothered with the hassle. Right, I've stuck this plant in for all time's sake, to be honest. I've complained about this plant probably since like 2018, 2019. I'm gonna do it again, guys. I'm gonna do it again for all time's sake. Begonia Pavonina, or Pavonina, well, however you want to say it, right? You know I'm shit with plant names. Everyone knows this. But Begonia Pavonina, like, I bought it because I went through a phase of liking blue things, right? And there are a lot, by the way, while we're doing this video, there's a lot of nice blue things you can get. Namely, my favorite thing in the world, which is just stunning. I'm looking at it down here in my cabinet. It's the blue oil fern, the Microsorum thailandicum. The most beautiful blue plant you could ever want, right? The Begonia, I thought was a beautiful blue color, and it is in certain light. Basically, flash photography will get it looking very blue. No. I don't want that. And I don't want it because I can have things like my blue oil fern that is just blue, okay? That doesn't need to be flash photography. There doesn't need to be anything clever. It just stays blue. Why would I want to, you know, do anything else? And it's not that I don't like begonia. It's not my favorite type of plant, but I do own 2 or 3 and I do really enjoy them. And I would potentially own more. I have the begonia, is it the red berry? You'll not see it, but it's like somewhere up here. That might be it. I can't tell on the camera. I have a beautiful begonia white ice that I really enjoy. What else do I have? I've got a bunch of begonia that got gifted to me that are hybrids. I also have begonia, is it Malachosticta or Malachosticta? I've got a few different ones. So it's not against begonia, it's against essentially being catfished. And I don't appreciate it and I don't need it, because if I want a really blue plant, I can find one. I do not need to put up with that. So for all time's sake, bringing it back to remind you that I'm still annoyed about it. What, 5 years later, 7 years later? Literally don't want to see it again. I'm sorry guys, if you love the plant, I'm really sorry. I don't want to see it again. Begonia Pavonina. Yeah, so this next plant is a bit sad because I've always liked them and they're very affordable, but this kind of goes back to the same reason as I picked for the first plant, the pink princess types. And I want to talk very briefly about the Philodendron Ring of Fire. Listen, it's lovely. Honestly, I've not really got anything bad to say about the plant. It's not variegation. I don't think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comments. I don't think it's the kind of variegation where you've got to worry about it, where it's going to revert. I don't think so. I think it's a little bit like a Philodendron Jose Bono situation, where it's just sort of intrinsic to the plant. I suspect that a lot of heat can bump variegation. I know a lot of people think it's light, but 9 times out of 10, guys, it's usually heat in my experience. Light helps, don't get me wrong, but if you keep a plant toasty warm, it'll probably pump out more variegation. Just saying. But I love the plant. It's definitely the growth pattern. It's really annoying and it's a shame because even like Philodendron Caramel Marble, you could probably put it in the same category, although I do think it looks better than Ring of Fire. I just think Ring of Fire, it's the kind of plant where, again, it looks cool young. So it looks cool in a little bush before it basically starts to grow upwards, right? And it's exactly the same as what I said about the Pink Princess. I just don't like how that looks. Again, actually, if you've got a mature one of those up a pole or just something, you know, bigger, please let me know and tag me in that too, and I will have a look, because I'm always looking for like inspiration, and I do like the plant. Trust me, I do like the plant. This is not a I hate it kind of thing. I just can't be bothered with that kind of situation. I can't be bothered. There's so many other plants that I would have for a climbing philodendron, and I will probably get onto it, I think it's in my list, that I'd rather pick than that. So if you agree with me, let me know. Are there certain philodendron, I mean it could be any plant, but we're talking about philodendron for now, that you just wouldn't get because you can't be bothered with like keeping everything nice and sizing up and growing straight and all of that? Like, is there any? Because for me there definitely is. And unfortunately Ring of Fire just belongs to look like a ring, like the name suggests, right? I expect it to stay in little bush, annoyingly, but hey ho, plants grow, who'd have thought. The Philodendron Ring of Fire, I love you so much, but I don't think you're for me anymore. Okay, we're going to talk about some plants that I would buy, and it's good because this follows directly directly on from what I was saying before, there are very few climbing philodendrons that I would probably put in my space, but this is absolutely one of them. I've loved this plant since the first ever philodendron rare plant index I did, like 2019, really early. It was the first episode I ever made, so long ago. It's got to be the philodendron whipple way. Guys, it's such a nice plant. Now, it's worth mentioning there is a plant that is similar to this, and I thought I'd mention it now because we're talking about it and it's relevant. So you can get the philodendron snowdrift, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the whipple way on the left hand side of my screen, and I'm going to put the snowdrift on the right hand side, just so you can see the difference. The variegation and everything else on first glance can look the same, but the whipple way it's kind of like, it's longer, it's more streamlined, and it has a better, how would you say it, like a color life cycle of the plant, because you can get a lot more pink with this. It never really fades that dark in my experience. The leaves, when they're really old, they don't go a super dark green. They do kind of stay minty green, and the colors are just incredible. So it starts like a milkshake pink. It then turns into like a creamy white. That white keeps getting colder and colder and colder because it's turning into a minty green, and it kind of stays like that. And you get a beautiful like mottling, speckling, everything like that. Now, the reason I don't mind this as a climber is because the space in between the nodes on the plant, so the internodal spacing, is very tight. It's tight. So when it's a climber, it's going to look dense. And to be honest with you, whenever I do like climbers, they usually have to be dense in some way for me to like them, so that when they do grow up a pole, you just see like a big bush and it's not like all gangly and gappy, because I don't have time for that. I want a nice dense, you know, like a juicy living wall. So I don't want any of that. But the whipple way, to be honest, I'm probably putting it on my wish list to get back, because I like it so much and I miss it. I will be putting obviously a picture in of the one that I had in the shop, and it was so pretty, guys. It was beautiful, and it was quite mature as well, actually. Just a stunning plant. I absolutely want one of those back, and I'm probably going to get one. So would buy back, and probably going to buy back. Another plant I would buy back than I used to have would be the variegated ZZ plant. I know it's a common plant, but you know, it's a really nice twist on a common plant. You can't see it next to me, but I have like a big kitchen island, literally like right here, and there's so much space to put something on there that would look really pretty, and I think it would grow really nice, and I don't think it would give me a problem. Now, I could put a regular ZZ there. If I chose a regular ZZ, I'd probably go for the black one, I just think it would look really sexy in here. You can't see, but my entire kitchen is like very light dove grey, and all the handles and everything are like matte black, and then the rest of the walls are white. It's really pretty. I just think that would look quite nice, but I fancy a variegated one because I miss it from the shop. Personally, I didn't see any difference in care to a regular ZZ. All I'll say is propagation and stuff like that, nightmare. It's a nightmare. Personally, it's a nightmare. That could just be me in my experience, but I don't know. There is also other colours of variegated ZZ that I wouldn't mind having. The black one, guys, the black one. Honestly, like the black ZZ on its own, the Raven is nice, but the variegated black one? Yeah, that's probably on a wish list. No one lie, it's probably on a wish list. It's so stunning. Oh, I did see some in Germany when I was there, and they just looked incredible. They weren't very tall, and they were very expensive, but hopefully the picture I put in of the black ZZ would like entice you to get it, and if that doesn't, then nothing will. But I just like it because it's a really rare take on a common plant, and I think it's worth it. Right, so another plant that I would buy back, and I had this when it was expensive, and now they're really affordable, so it'd be very easy for me to buy back. And fun story, I've been trying to buy it back. So the next plant on my list is the Maranta silver band. You guys, if you followed me for long enough, you'll know that I used to have this plant. It was like 2020 or 2021, and I paid about 500 UK pounds for 2 leaves of this plant because it used to be so rare. Obviously, it's mass produced now, which is great. But I've kind of decided, I do this every so often, to restart my Maranta like Calathea collection, because if anyone remembers when I started my channel in like 2018, very late 2018, I loved Calathea and I loved Maranta. I still love them. Nothing's actually changed. I don't know, I got so into arides, I didn't buy them back. But I've decided to start up a Maranta collection, so I want them all. Basically, I want them all. And I think they'll grow quite well in the house. They're also really good for the cats, so I fancy one of those. But with I don't know if Maranta are easy or difficult, but for me personally, they've never been easier. They've never been easier. I've never had a problem. I even give mine tap water and they don't hate me. They don't go crispy. They look quite dense. You won't see them, but I do have two on the back wall. I have the regular one with the red veins and then I have the lemon lime. They love me. They love me. So I need to get the silver band. I need to get the no ID that I used to have as well years ago. I think it's also known as cat's mustache now. I want one of those. I'm not too sure about the other types, like is it the cristata or something and things like that. The black Maranta, the elusive black Maranta. There's loads of Maranta that I really want. I have to find them, but I want them back for the purposes of actually starting a Maranta collection. So full disclosure, you will see it at some point when I acquire them. But it had to go on this list because I really miss it. I really, really miss it. Following on with that theme, I really, really wanted to go for a Stromanthe trio star. I know I say it every few years, and I had one. I had a massive one. If you remember, I've had a massive one in my house, and years later, I had a massive one in the shop, and I think I kept giving them to my parents because I kept running out of room. But I'm ready for another one. And I think the price has kind of gone up from what I've seen. I can't seem to find like a big one. To be fair, I've only looked on like 2 websites. I need to look properly. But I just really, really want one. And again, it's the same as the Maranta. I always found them, personally, for me, they just work for me. It's kind of like some people, I don't know, orchids just work for, right? Because they don't work for me. I can't get them to flower. They look terrible, right? It's why I don't tend to collect orchids. As some people, Hoya really work for. Some people, anthurium really work for. Do you know what I mean? For me, Maranta and Calathea just lie down for me. Like, I've never had a problem with them. So I really, really fancy another one, probably along this, like this chunky, spacious bottom section of the wall. I think it would look really nice. So that's another one that I want. It sort of is representing like Stromanthe, Calathea, prayer plant vibes, because there's definitely some of the Calathea I'd like. But for now and for this video, without going on and on and on about Calathea, I'll save it for another video. That's another plant that I would really, I would definitely buy again because I miss it so much. And it says a lot if I've consistently had these plants, got rid of them for whatever reason that I had to, and I still buy them back. That tells me it's a plant that I will buy time and time again. So, do you have any plants that you used to have and you are desperate to buy again? Do you have any plants that you would never buy again? Either because it's hard to look after, it's pest magnet, it's just you didn't like it, didn't grow well for you, or it was too expensive, or you know, it's just not your taste anymore. Please let me know in the comments. I love to read them. You guys know this. If you like this video, please leave a like. It lets me know that I'm making content that you enjoy. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you could subscribe. That's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.